Hello, everyone. I'm back doing dramatic readings again, and this time I will be reading the story called Mothers by the author Night Mysterio on fanfiction.net, and I hope you all enjoy it. Just outside of Ponyville, Rainbow Dash, element of loyalty and self-anointed best flyer in Equestria. Although she could probably make a decent case for that title being official. Was doing one of her favorite activities, napping. She had just finished work at the weather station today, as well as her daily stunt practice, and was planning on relaxing the day away. Maybe she'd show Tank some of her favorite relaxation spots. Tank did have that device to fly with her, and she did have Twilight cast that permanent cloud walking spell she cast on the others after the youngest flyers competition. She decided to think about it later. It was a perfect day, great for a relaxing nap. She was perfectly at peace with herself and the universe around her. So naturally, something came to disrupt her relaxation. "Hey, Rainbow Dash!" shouted a familiar voice. Fortunately, it wasn't an entirely obnoxious disruption. The Sky Blue Pegasus looked down to see her biggest fan riding up on her scooter. The orangish Pegasus filly grinning up at her brightly. "What's up, Squirt?" Rainbow Dash asked. She liked Scootaloo. Her hero worship played to her ego, which even Rainbow Dash could admit could get out of hand sometimes, and she wasn't too bothersome to be around a good deal of the time. Scootaloo's grin faded a little, and she looked at the ground, biting her lip nervously. Rainbow Dash gave her a curious look. "Scoots? Anything wrong?" Scootaloo's resolve seemed to break, and she shook her head. It's nothing," she said, turning her scooter to leave. Rainbow Dash smiled warmly. "Hey, come on, it's me, Rainbow Dash. You can tell me anything," she said. Scootaloo bit her lip again. Scootaloo stammered, her heart racing. You know the big Mother's Day celebration coming up? With all the games?" Rainbow Dash nodded. "Yeah? So?" Scootaloo fidgeted with the handlebars of her scooter nervously. I was wondering if..." She trailed off, mumbling to herself. Rainbow Dash blinked and shook her head, chuckling. She flew down to Scootaloo and said, "You want to try that again? This time without the Fluttershy impersonation?" Scootaloo gulped, took a deep breath, and said, I was wondering if you'd enter the Mother's Day games with me." To say that Rainbow Dash was taken aback by this would be a gross understatement. She chuckled nervously and said, "A little problem there. I'm not your mom." Scootaloo grinned weakly, nodding. "Yeah, I know. It was a stupid idea. I'm sorry. I'll just go now." Rainbow Dash frowned. "Wouldn't asking your mom be a better idea?" Scootaloo hesitated and said, I don't have one. Dad got killed by the chimera that attacked Ponyville a few years ago, and Mom died giving birth to me." Rainbow Dash's eyes widened. She hadn't known that. Scootaloo, tears in her eyes, grinned weakly and said, It's okay. I'm sorry to bother you." "Squirt, wait!" Rainbow Dash said as Scootaloo sped off at her astonishing ground speed, leaving a stunned Rainbow Dash by herself. A few minutes later, Carousel Boutique. My little pony, Pinkie Pie sang, bouncing around the store, her saddlebags bouncing. Rarity blinked, the marshmallow white pony staring at her friend. "Pinkie, what are you singing?" Pinkie paused mid-bounce and said, "Oh, sorry, I had to get at least part of the theme in. If this was an episode instead of a fanfiction, that last scene change would have been a perfect place to put it. Put the opening theme." Rarity stared at Pinkie for a moment, unsure of what to say for the longest time. She shook her head, dismissing it as Pinkie's natural randomness, and said, "What is it you wanted again?" Pinkie giggled, bouncing around the room. "I'm hosting the games at the Mother's Day celebration at the end of the week. was hoping you could make me a nifty hostess dress with lots of shine and maybe some streamers, and Rarity cut her off before she could go into another rant, having flashbacks to the time she let Pinkie design her own gala dress. Something in line with your tastes, but for the more casual Mother's Day celebration as opposed to something overly gallant like the gala. Pinkie giggled, nodding. She remembered how well her original idea for a gala dress went over. Righty right, she said. Is this enough to pay for it? She pulled a small satchel out and shook out a pile of bits. Rarity smiled and nodded, scooting the bits into her cash register. Well, I'm pleased that you decided to come to me for this, Pinkie. I should have a preliminary design for you to buy tomorrow. Okie dokie dokie! Pinkie giggled. She started to leave when she felt a slight twinge, her tail losing its poofiness, deflating like a balloon, and falling straight. She looked at it in confusion, frowning. This was a completely new reaction. Rarity, familiar with Pinkie's unusual sense, gave her a worried look. What's wrong? Pinkie said hesitant. I'm not sure, she thought for a moment, trying to interpret the feeling. I think someone we know is really worried about something. Rarity frowned. Oh dear, do you have any idea who it could be? As if on cue, Rainbow Dash came in, looking around. A worried look was on her face as she turned to the two ponies and asked, Have you seen Scootaloo? Pinkie Pie and Rarity traded confused looks. Isn't she with the Crusaders? Pinkie asked. Rainbow Dash shook her head. I don't know. I tried the clubhouse, but none of them were there. Rarity frowned. Sweetie Belle didn't say anything about a Crusader expedition today, she said, thinking. Rainbow Dash, what happened? Why the sudden concern? Rainbow Dash hesitated for a moment and said, Scootaloo asked me to register for the Mother's Day games with her. Rarity's eyes widened in shock, the unicorn rearing up a little. Rainbow Dash sighed and continued. When I said no, she turned and sped off crying. Pinkie blinked, confused. But you weren't her. I know, Rainbow Dash said, pacing back and forth. Did either of you know that she was an orphan? Because I didn't. And then she asked me this. I mean, I knew she looked up to me, but I didn't know she... Rainbow Dash shook her head, growling in confusion. Rarity frowned. Pinkie and I did know that Scootaloo was an orphan. She lives at Sunny Oaks Orphanage on the other side of town. I was hired by the facility's workers to make a dress for a filly that was having a birthday there, and Pinkie hosted the party. I wasn't aware that you didn't know, though. Rainbow Dash sighed. She never talks about herself when we're together. She usually just wants to do stuff with me or for me. Pinkie bit her lip, frowning. She couldn't think of anything to say that might help. I got nothing. Rarity? Rarity thought for a moment and said, You're obviously quite shaken up by this, Rainbow. Well, duh, Rainbow Dash said bitterly. How am I supposed to react? I'm no one's mother. Rarity bit back a sarcastic remark that came to mind. I don't think you're in any state to be useful at the moment. You wait here and try to get your thoughts in order. In the meantime, Pinkie and I will help look for Scootaloo. Rainbow Dash frowned. You sure? Rarity smiled warmly. We'll make sure she's all right, the elegant unicorn said. Don't worry. Pinkie smiled brightly and added, And besides, you know how much territory I can cover in short order. We'll find her lickety-split. Rainbow Dash smiled weakly. Thanks, guys. Rarity set Rainbow Dash up in her bedroom and set out with Pinkie. As they got out the door, Rarity stopped Pinkie and said, I think I know of a place Scootaloo might be. You get Twilight Sparkle, Fluttershy, and Applejack. Why? Pinkie asked. I have a strange feeling we're going to need everyone's help on this, Rarity muttered, galloping off towards the edge of town. Pinkie frowned and dashed off to retrieve the others. Rarity's path took her to a set of caves just on the edge of Everfree, near the quarry where the Diamond Dogs live. Now, if I remember correctly, she said, this is where Sweetie Belle said that they decided to make their second super-secret headquarters after the Cutie Mark Crusader Spelunkers disaster. There's a large quantity of amethyst in it. She concentrated, focusing specifically on that specific gem. Her horn glowed. Rarity felt a slight tugging at the base of her skull, one that got stronger as she approached the amethyst deposit. Soon enough, she found the right cave. Looking inside, she found Scootaloo lying underneath a table in a mini fortress built out of wood. Rarity was consistently amazed at Apple Bloom's skill at building things and was certain that she'd have earned her cube marks months ago if she just recognized how good she was at it. The little orange Pegasus was sniffling, curled up like she was trying to go to sleep, her scooter set to one side. "Scootaloo?" she asked, smiling warmly as she looked under the table. Scootaloo yipped softly, startled, and looked up through teary eyes. She sniffled, wiping her eyes clear, and looked at Rarity in confusion. "Rarity, what are you doing here?" The marshmallow-colored unicorn smiled warmly. "When you ran off like that, you gave poor Rainbow Dash a fright. She's been looking for you all day." Scootaloo sniffled again. "Sorry, I didn't mean to. I'm sorry." Rarity sighed. "Come on out, Scootaloo. I'll buy you a treat at Sugar Cube Corner, or perhaps at Bonbon's Confectionery." Scootaloo managed to smile. "Sorry," she said softly. Now, none of that," Rarity said as Scootaloo crawled out from under the table. "You just come on out, and we'll make sure you get back safely." Scootaloo smiled weakly, the normally boisterous pony quiet and thoughtful. "Was Rainbow Dash really that worried?" Rarity nodded. "Of course she was," the fashion pony said, smiling warmly. "She cares about you. You know that. Remember when she stopped you from doing that dangerous stunt?" Scootaloo cringed. "Yeah, trying to jump the quarry eel caves in Ghastly Gorge on my scooter probably wasn't my best." Rarity, to Scootaloo's relief, refrained from making the obvious, teasing response. "At any rate," Rarity said, "let's get you back to the shop. I'm sure your friends are worried about you as well." Scootaloo thought for a moment and shook her head. "Nah, I think I'm gonna head back home. Would you let every pony know I'm okay?" Rarity frowned. "Are you sure? My offer to buy you a treat for you still stands." Scootaloo nodded. "Yeah, I'm tired and I need to go back. It's almost curfew anyway." As Scootaloo rode off on her scooter, Rarity frowned, turning and heading back to her shop. She found the others all gathered in her shop. Rainbow Dash, hearing Rarity come in, flew up to her. "What happened? Did you find her? Is she all right?" the rainbow-maned Pegasus asked, her questions frantic. Rarity grabbed Rainbow Dash's shoulders, stopping her from fluttering around her head. "Calm down. I found her in the caves just outside of town. I tried to get her to come back, but she just wanted to go back to the orphanage." Rainbow Dash frowned. "Well, as long as she's okay." Fluttershy came up to Rarity, a worried expression on her gentle face. "Pinkie told us a little bit about what happened, but as usual, it was a bit hard to interpret." "Rarity, what's going on? What's wrong with Scootaloo?" Twilight asked. Rarity looked out the door in the direction of the orphanage and sighed. She turned back and explained the whole situation. The others traded looks. "It's gotta be hard for her," Applejack said. "My folks are gone, but we still have each other, Big Macintosh and Granny Smith. And Rarity, you and Sweetie Belle still have your parents." Rarity nodded. "Twilight, you technically have two mothers in both the Princess and Twilight Velvet. Pinkie and Fluttershy have both of their parents. Pinkie really has two families if you count the cakes and their kids." Pinkie cringed, remembering her recent attempt to babysit the two cake children. Rainbow Dash hesitated before admitting, "Girls, I don't have parents either." The others looked at Rainbow Dash in shock. She had never brought up her family before, but they had just assumed that she spent her time with them during the holiday. Rainbow Dash sighed and said, "Mom flew out on me years ago, and I never knew who my dad was. I've been on my own since, well, until I met Gilda. And you all know how that ended up. Dashie, Pinkie said softly, coming up to her friend and nuzzling her comfortingly. Guys, I'm okay, really. I got over it long ago, she said. Twilight frowned and said, We still have to do something about Scootaloo. We can't just let her stay depressed like that. Fluttershy shuffled her hooves nervously. I could try talking with her, she said. It'd probably be better if you did, Rainbow Dash. Twilight said, This whole thing seems centered on you. Rainbow Dash hesitated, a nervous look on her face. I'm not real good at this sort of thing. Maybe Fluttershy should be the one? The others traded looks. If you're sure, if you really want me to, I can, Fluttershy said, frowning. Rainbow Dash nodded. I'm not the motherly type, she said, trying and failing not to feel like a heel. It's better if you or Twilight talks to her. But you're the one she looks up to, Dashie, Pinkie Pie said. Rainbow Dash had no answer for that, and flew away. The others traded worried looks. Fluttershy sighed. Rainbow Dash means well, I'm sure. I'll go talk to Scootaloo tomorrow, she said. I guess that would be all right, Twilight said doubtfully. She and the others slowly trailed out of Rarity's shop, silent and thoughtful. The next day, Pinkie Pie took her flying machine up to Rainbow Dash's place. She couldn't find her there, and assumed that she was just working her shift as weather manager. But even after the time she knew Rainbow Dash got off work, she wasn't there. She frowned, returning to Sugar Cube Corner, and tried to think seriously about where Rainbow Dash might have gone. After about a minute, she got a headache, and decided to treat herself to a cupcake or two. Pumpkin Cake levitated herself up onto the table Pinkie was sitting at, looking at her big sister curiously. Pinkie Pie smiled at the little unicorn foal and said, I don't suppose you know where Dash is gone. Pumpkin levitated Pinkie's rubber chicken up to the table and began gnawing cutely on it. Pinkie Pie stared at her for a moment, having long given up trying to stop the little unicorn from chewing on things, unless it was something that might hurt her. As she did, a thought occurred to her. Well, they were old friends, Pinkie Pie said, but Dashie was really mad at her after the blow-up at the party. Could she have gone to see her again? Pinkie chewed on the rubber chicken, making it squeak. Squeak! Pinkie Pie nodded solemnly. You're right, Pumpkin. She probably did go to see her, and being the friend I am, I should go to support her. She hugged the unicorn full happily, saying, You wait here. Your big sister Pinkie will be back soon enough. She dashed off in a pink blur. Pumpkin watched her go curiously and shrugged, contentedly chewing on the rubber chicken. Pinkie Pie dashed off at her top reality warping speed, only to stop on the edge of town, realizing that while she knew who Rainbow Dash went off to see, she didn't know where said old friend was. Pinkie huffed. Phooey! How am I supposed to be there for Dashie if I don't know where she is? She thought for a moment and grinned cheerfully. Twilight would know. Twilight knows lots of stuff. Skipping happily, she started to bounce back into town. She eventually passed by the orphanage as Fluttershy was coming out of it. Fluttershy was frowning, a worried look on her face. Pinkie Pie, who had a personal objection to frowns, passed over to see if she could help. What's wrong, Fluttershy? Pinkie Pie said warmly. Anything your Auntie Pinkie can help you with? Fluttershy rolled her eyes and said, Pinkie, I'm a year older than... Oh, never mind, she said, as she sighed. Looking back at the orphanage, I tried talking to Scootaloo, but she wouldn't see me. She wouldn't even talk to Apple Bloom or Sweetie Belle. Pinkie Pie looked at the orphanage, frowning. She then brightened. Ooh, I know! Maybe a party will help her! Fluttershy thought for a moment. Pinkie Pie did throw excellent parties. But with Scootaloo's mood right now, I'm sorry, Pinkie, the Pegasus said, but right now I think that a party would just make things worse for her. Something in Pinkie Pie's brain glitched. What? Party worse? I don't know. Sans waffles. Sandwich! She stammered. sputtering incoherently and then collapsing, legs sticking straight up into the air. "Oh dear," Fluttershy whimpered, afraid she may have broke Pinkie. "Pinkie Pie, are you okay?" Meanwhile, Griff Hollow. "Boy, Dashy, you must be desperate if you actually came crawling back to me," Gilda teased. "Did you finally get tired of those lame old friends of yours?" Rainbow Dash glared at the Griffin. "Knock it off, Gilda. I just came here because I needed to clear my head. I figured some mindless fun with you would help with that." Gilda sneered. "So nice to know that you think of me so highly," the Griffin said, yawning and stretching. "So what's on your mind? Maybe I can help." Rainbow Dash shook her head. "I honestly doubt it. No offense, but even when we were friends, you weren't that helpful." Gilda frowned. "Well, maybe I just decided to be nice for once," she protested. Rainbow Dash stared at her. Gilda nervously scratched at the ground of the cave they were in for a moment and sighed. Okay, I miss you, and I was looking for excuses to try and get you to spend time with me again." She looked up at Rainbow Dash with a surprisingly sad expression. "You know how hard it is for griffins to move on when we become attached to someone." Rainbow Dash sighed and nuzzled the griffin. I know, and I'm sorry. I just got so mad, especially after I found out what you did in the square." Gilda sighed. "Mistakes were made," she admitted, hugging her friend. "Mostly by me. But I'm glad you're back with me." Rainbow Dash smiled. "Me too. Now, come on, let's go have some fun." Gilda shook her head. "Not until you talk to me, Dashy." "Gilda," Rainbow Dash said, her voice almost pleading. "You're running from something, Dashy. I can tell," Gilda said. "You never run. So I'm a little worried." Rainbow Dash huffed, taking offense. "I'm not running." "Then why are you here?" Gilda asked, quirking an eyebrow at her. "Because," she said, hesitating far too long to make it convincing, "because I wanted to spend the day with an old friend, that's all." Gilda scowled. "No, Dashy, this isn't like you. You said it yourself. You never run. So why are you running?" she demanded, sitting down. Rainbow Dash fumed for a moment, clearly not wanting to talk about it, and sighed, giving up. She curled up on the floor, staring out into the sky. "There's this filly named Scootaloo," she said. "She's pretty much idolized me ever since she first saw me." "And you just ate up the attention, right?" Gilda teased. "Well, yeah," Rainbow Dash said, smiling a preening little. "I mean, who wouldn't? She even started a fan club for me." She shook her head. "It was an incredible feeling." Gilda nodded. "Okay, I'm waiting for the other horseshoe to drop." Rainbow Dash sighed and said, "There's a Mother's Day festival coming up. There's some mother-daughter games that Pinkie Pie is hosting. Scootaloo asked me to participate in games with her." Gilda blinked, her wings unfolding in alarm. Wow, she said. Rainbow Dash nodded. I don't know what to think, Gilda. I'm no pony's mother. Gilda frowned, a thought occurring to her. "Is this about your own mom?" Rainbow Dash jerked as if struck. "What? No! This has nothing to do with..." She stammered, trailing off. "With the fact that your own mom abandoned you," Gilda finished. Rainbow Dash pawed the ground nervously. I'm scared, Gilda. When I thought she was just hero-worshipping me or treating me like a big sister, it was okay. But this... knowing she wants me to be her mother, I'm worried that it'll be like Mom. That'll just run out on her one day for whatever reason." Gilda frowned. "You never really did get over her leaving, did you?" she asked softly. "She left me!" Rainbow Dash almost shrieked, tears streaming down her face. "Moms aren't supposed to leave their daughters behind. Moms aren't supposed to let their foals grow up alone." "Easy, Dashy, easy," Gilda said, holding up her talons in a calming gesture. "I'm on your side, remember?" Rainbow Dash, tears still flowing down her face, stared at Gilda a moment more, and curled up on the floor, sulking. Gilda went over to lay next to her, a thoughtful expression on her face. I think I know what the issue is, Gilda said. When Rainbow Dash didn't respond, Gilda continued. Part of it is that you're scared you'll turn out like your mother. Another part of is that the idea of being a mother means you've got to grow up a little, and you're mad at yourself for even thinking like that. Rainbow Dash scowled. I'm not scared of growing up, she said. Gilda scoffed. I know you, Dashy. Better than you think. You still want to be a Wonderbolt, right? Of course I do, Rainbow Dash snapped. The same dream you've had since you were a filly and got Spitfire's autograph after her first big show as a Wonderbolt? Gilda pressed. Rainbow Dash started to say something, and then frowned. It was the filly's dream, she knew. But it had kept her going all this time. And she knew that part of the reason she was reluctant to go as far as Scootaloo wanted is that she was unwilling to give up on that dream. The two issues fed off each other, leaving her frightened and ashamed. Gilda nodded. You are scared, Dashy. You're scared that you'll be like your mother. You're scared that you'll have to give up your dream of being a Wonderbolt. And on that second part, you're also mad at yourself because you know how petty that sounds. Rainbow Dash grumbled. I hate it when people figure me out before I do. Gilda snickered. I've always been able to read people, Rainbow. It made things easier when I was picking on all the lamers we met in that flight school, she said. She then sighed, rubbing her temple. Look, it's obvious that you care for the little runt, so the way I see it, you have two choices. One, ignore the kid, and deal with her disappointment, and move on with your overall goal of training for the Wonderbolts. You can get other fans. Two, accept the kid and give being a mom a try. Rainbow Dash said nothing, looking nervously at the ground. Gilda rolled her eyes, annoyed with Rainbow Dash's silence. If it helps any, Dashy, the fact that you're worried about the squirt this much at all puts you about 10 steps ahead of your own mom, she said. Rainbow Dash smiled, fluttering her wings a little. Gilda nodded. Okay, that's better, the Griffin said. You're a complete lamer when you're depressed. Your kindness and understanding is touching, Rainbow Dash snarked, feeling a little better. And you're about to lose the race. I just challenged you to, Gilda teased, rocketing out of the cave like a bullet. Hey! Rainbow Dash yelled, falling after her at a rainbow-colored streak, the two old friends laughing as they raced, reliving old times and rebuilding their damaged friendship. Later that evening, Ponyville. Rainbow Dash flew back into town, having promised to meet Gilda again later in the week. She flew over the orphanage and felt a surge of fear again, not knowing what she'd say to Scootaloo. She zipped off, unaware that Scootaloo had seen her, the young Pegasus staring after her longingly. Rainbow Dash glided aimlessly around town for a moment, spotting Fluttershy, Rarity, and Twilight talking at the diner. She glided down next to them, coming to a perfect landing on the fourth bench at the table. What's up, girls? She asked Granny. Where were you? Rarity asked, her tone disapproving. We couldn't find you all day, Fluttershy said, her soft voice concerned. Rainbow Dash grinned weakly. I'm sorry, girls. I needed to clear my head for a bit, and went to Griff Hollow to see if I could patch things up with Gilda. Twilight blinked. Griff Hollow? That's pretty far away, Rainbow Dash, she said, worried. Rainbow Dash nodded, looking sheepish. I know, I just needed some time to think, you know? The other three traded worried looks. Rainbow Dash coughed and tried to change the subject. So, how are things going today? Fluttershy shook her head. Scootaloo's not talking to any pony, not even the other Crusaders. I think she still feels bad about asking you to the Mother's Day games. Rainbow Dash cringed, her wings drooping. I wish I knew what to say to her. Say something to her, Rarity said, huffing in frustration. Anything. It's you she's fixated on, Rainbow Dash. The silence isn't healthy for either of you. Her expression softened a little, showing that she was worried about Rainbow Dash as well. I will, eventually. I just need to figure some things out, Rainbow Dash said, looking at the ground nervously. Rarity sighed, face in exasperation. She left some bits on the table and pulled away to leave. I need to go, ladies. I have to work on Pinky's hostess dress for the festivities the day after tomorrow. Would you, that is, if you don't mind, would you please check on Pinky? Fluttershy asked. Rarity nodded and trotted off elegantly. Rainbow Dash stared at Fluttershy, confused. What's wrong with Pinky? Fluttershy, eat! Hiding behind her mane. Rainbow Dash had to strain to hear as she mumbled. Well, she suggested that she should throw a party for school. And I said it would make things worse, and she just... She trailed off, mumbling. Twilight, unable to help herself, giggled and finished the statement. Fluttershy broke Pinky's brain. Didn't mean to, Fluttershy whimpered. Rainbow Dash's face huffed, shaking her head in amusement. Remind me after all this is over to tell you how to avoid Pinky's little triggers. The next day, Rainbow Dash stood in front of the door to the orphanage, trying to control her racing heart. She knew she had to talk to Scootaloo, try and work something out for both of them. So why did she feel like she was about to fight Nightmare Moon and Discord at the same time? She cursed her own fear, and shakily raised a hoof to knock on the door, when the door opened again. Scootaloo stood there, startled to see her there. Hey, Rainbow Dash, she said, smiling brightly despite her mood. Rainbow Dash forced a grin on her face. Here, Squirt, she said. She gulped hard and said, Listen, I wanted to talk to you about... Scootaloo's expression turned to pain, and she said, No, it's fine. It was dumb of me to ask you. I mean, you're training to be in the Wonder Balls. You don't need me to holding you back. Rainbow Dash stammered, It's okay, really. This holiday just gets me sometimes, she said softly, smiling weakly. Listen, Sweetie Belle wants to see if we can get dressmaking kitty marks. She talked Rarity into loaning us some materials. I'll be seeing you, okay? Scootaloo buzzed off on her scooter, saying to herself, It's dumb of me to even think of asking you. No one needs to be settled down with a nobody blank flank like me. Rainbow Dash just stared at her, frozen in place. When Scootaloo disappeared from her sight as she moved into town, Rainbow Dash sighed and thumped her head against the wall of the orphanage. The brave and mighty Rainbow Dash, she muttered. Rainbow Dash sighed again and took to the air. She needed to talk to someone. She looked around, seeing Fluttershy tending to her animals, and Applejack and Big Macintosh talking business with Carrot Top, making an exchange of crops. Pinkie Pie was at Sugar Cube Corner, selling some new cupcake concoction, and Rarity looked to be busy making a dress that she guessed, from the streams, had to be for Pinky. That left Twilight Sparkle. She frowned. Twilight was an okay pony, but her explanations tended to be more long-winded and preachy than she liked. Still, she was always willing to help, and had never failed to be there when you needed help. Rainbow Dash sighed and flew to the library, where Twilight Sparkle was in the middle of enjoying some tea while reading a book. Twilight, hearing the door open, turned and smiled when she saw Rainbow Dash come in. Hey, Rainbow, can I help you with anything? Rainbow Dash bit her lip nervously and said, Can I talk to you outside for a sec? Without Spike? Twilight nodded, curious. Sure, Spike's out running errands anyway, she said. She put down her book and stepped outside with the Pegasus, a concerned look on her face. After a moment of hesitation, Rainbow Dash asked, How do you view Spike? Twilight blinked and smiled. He's my #1 assistant, she said. You know that. Rainbow Dash shook her head. I mean, how do you view him? As a little brother, just an assistant? What? Twilight went wide-eyed for a moment, and then smiled warmly, blushing a little. Well, after I hatched him, I looked into why his egg was being used. Apparently, it was donated by a dragoness who thought it was just a dud. I found out that I wasn't really supposed to hatch him, just display what magic I did have. When I actually did hatch him, Twilight smiled, closing her eyes for a moment, and looking directly at Rainbow Dash. He's my son. I may not have carried him inside me and given birth to him, but he's my son. and I love him. Rainbow Dash studied the look on Twilight's face. She frowned, looking down at the ground, considering. Twilight gave her a concerned look. "Are you okay?" she asked. "Why did you want to know?" "I'm just still trying to figure things out," she said, and told her about her conversation with Gilda. Twilight frowned, a thoughtful expression on her face. "I think she summed up your options pretty well, Rainbow. I'm sorry your mother left you, but you aren't her. The fact that this is bothering you so much is a clear sign of it, but you do have to make a choice, Rainbow. And soon. It isn't fair to Scootaloo, and it isn't fair to you either." Rainbow Dash stared at Twilight Sparkle, a thoughtful expression on her face. She thought about all the times Scootaloo had been there for her, had shown her admiration, and the times she had shown concern for her. She thought about her mother's abandonment and about her own fears. She thought about the Wonderbolts and her own dream, and made her decision. The next day, the Mother's Day celebration. Twilight was late to arrive to the celebration, running in with Spike to get there. Her own mother was there, the older white-coated unicorn nuzzling her happily. Twilight Velvet smiled and asked, "Where have you been?" Twilight blushed. "I just had some last-minute stuff to take care of at the library," she said, grinning happily at her mother. "But I'm yours all day now." Velvet chuckled. "For what's left of it, at least. Nearly all the games have been registered for," she said. Twilight frowned, worried. "I'm sorry, did you want to participate in any of them?" Velvet shook her head. No, I'm just glad to spend time with my girl," she said, nuzzling her again. "I haven't seen you since the last time you were in Canterlot for your birthday party." Twilight blushed. I know. I'll try to visit more, I promise." Velvet just smiled, kissing her daughter lovingly. Twilight smiled happily. "Is Dad here? Are the others here?" Velvet nodded, pointing out the groups. "Your father is getting snacks, and yes, your friends are here. That lovely Applejack is here with your brother, sister, and grandmother," she said, gesturing to the family group. "Rarity is here with her family." Twilight had to giggle at how different Rarity's parents were from her friend. Despite their obvious differences, though, Rarity seemed just as pleased to be with her family as she was to be with hers. "Pinkie is with her family." Twilight looked astonished to see Pinkie's parents and siblings. The cheerful party pony a stark contrast between the somber but smiling rock farmers. "And there's Fluttershy with her mother," Velvet pointed out the last two, and Twilight blinked. Next to Fluttershy was a Pegasus who had the same style mane and a similar appearance, but was twice as big as Fluttershy and wearing Royal Guard armor sans the helmet, talking in a voice that reminded her irresistibly of Princess Luna's Royal Canterlot tone. "Is that a Pegasus or a bulldozer?" Twilight asked, confused. When Fluttershy noticed Twilight and waved to her, Fluttershy's mother noticed it as well. She bounded over to Twilight and Velvet in a single leap, grinning widely. She shook Twilight's hoof hard enough to leave her teeth rattling and her body shaking in midair. "How you doing, kiddo?" she boomed, the force nearly knocking the two unicorns back. "You must be Twilight Sparkle! My little Flutter says told me much about you." She then grabbed Twilight in a rib-crushingly affectionate hug. Twilight gave Fluttershy a tired look. "Let me guess," she said to the blushing Pegasus. "You're more like your father in personality." Fluttershy blushed and nodded. "He's staying at the hotel. Large crowds make him nervous," Fluttershy said in her apologetic way, grinning sheepishly. Fluttershy's mother set Twilight down and looked down at Twilight Velvet. "And you must be her mother! Oh, you can see where little Twilight got her good looks. I'm Barricade of the Canterlot Royal Guard. It's a pleasure to meet you." Twilight Velvet grinned weakly, stepping back from the offended, offered hoof. "I'm Twilight Velvet. It's very nice to meet you," she said, discreetly backing up behind her husband, Nightlight, who was staring in bafflement at the massive Pegasus. Barricade, not offended at all, just laughed. Rarity and Applejack came over. "I see you've met Fluttershy's charming mother," Rarity said, smirking. Twilight's foreleg was still shaking a little. Applejack chuckled, helping her hold it down until it stopped twitching. I swear, that gal could probably harvest my whole orchard by just yelling at it, the farm pony said, shaking her head. Twilight chuckled, shaking her head. It certainly is an interesting contrast, she said, looking over at the two. Fluttershy had a more hunched position, while Barricade's stance was brash and almost challenging. Where's Rainbow Dash? Is she going to be here? Fluttershy asked. Twilight started to say something when she was interrupted by Pinkie Pie. The bouncy pink party pony had gotten up onto the main bandstand where Mayor Mare was sorting cards for the opening speech. She grabbed the microphone and said, "Just a reminder, folks, there's still spots open for the big team race. One mother, one foal, and a race to win big prizes." Good, then I still have time to enter, said a voice from the crowd. Everyone looked up, shocked to see Rainbow Dash walking, not flying, walking, up to the bandstand, a roll of paper held in one wing. The unusual sight of Rainbow Dash walking stunned everyone who knew her, save Twilight, who just smiled. Scootaloo in particular was shocked. She had been brought to the contest along with several other fillies and colts from the orphanage, the caretakers there having had a good track record of getting their charges adopted during this event and the Father's Day celebration. Scootaloo hadn't expected to see Rainbow Dash at all. To see her there now left her baffled and slowly filled with a growing hope. Another caretaker showed up, smiling warmly at Rainbow Dash. Pinkie, in her simple but elegant party dress, was left uncharacteristically speechless. Mayor Mare came up to her and said, While we all appreciate your competitive spirit, this is a race for mothers and their children." Rainbow Dash nodded. She spoke again, in an uncharacteristically soft voice. "I know," she said. "I'm going to be entering with my daughter." Scootaloo gasped. Rarity, Applejack, Fluttershy, and Pinkie Pie began to grin, suddenly realizing. Mayor Mare blinked, confused. Your daughter?" Rainbow Dash nodded and placed the paper she had been holding under her wing on the bandstand. It was an adoption form. Rainbow Dash smiled. "I just finished all the paperwork a few minutes ago. Scootaloo is my daughter now, and we're entering the race together," she said. There was a stunned silence, and then several people began to applaud, starting with Scootaloo's friends in the orphanage. Applejack, Fluttershy, and Pinkie Pie went over to congratulate Rainbow Dash on doing something so nice, while Rarity stood with Twilight, stunned. Is this why you were late?" she asked. Twilight nodded. Ever since Scootaloo asked her to enter the contest with her, Rainbow Dash had been confused about what she wanted to do with her life. And yesterday, she made a decision. She decided to adopt Scootaloo and asked for my help. Princess Celestia was more than happy to write a letter of recommendation for her, and that sped the process along just enough that we were able to finish it today. Velvet smiled. "I'm very proud of you both, Twilight Sparkle," she said, Twilight blushing. Rainbow Dash, meanwhile, went over to Scootaloo, who had sat down, unable to move, an expression of shock on her face. Am I really young?" Scootaloo stammered. Rainbow Dash nodded, smiling. "You're with me now, Skirt. I'll take care of you from now on," she said. Scootaloo's expression changed from shock to sheer joy as she leapt forward, hugging Rainbow Dash tightly. Rainbow Dash blushed and said, "Come on, let's go show them all how it's done." As it turned out, when the race began, they didn't show them all. They came in dead last. The race geared for teamwork the two of them hadn't developed yet. Sometimes Rainbow Dash would get ahead and have to go back and pick up Scootaloo. Sometimes Scootaloo would get ahead and have to go back for Rainbow Dash. In the end, the big winners of the race were Drippy Who's and Dinky Who's in first place, Berry Punch and Ruby Pinch in second, and Topsy Turvy and Diamond Tiara in third place. Diamond Tiara surprisingly looking unperturbed that she didn't come in first. Rainbow Dash and Scootaloo stood off to one side, watching the prizes being awarded to the winners. "I'm sorry we didn't win," Scootaloo said, frowning. "It's okay," Rainbow Dash said. "It's weird, but losing doesn't bother me. I still feel like I won." Scootaloo blushed. But what about your dream? What about being a Wonderbolt?" she asked. Rainbow Dash shrugged. I'll figure something out, and if I don't end up joining, she smiled and shrugged. No reason why you can't try out for them as well. Scootaloo went wide-eyed. Me? A Wonderbolt? She breathed, grinning widely at the idea. Rainbow Dash sighed, smiling. Twilight, Rarity, Applejack, Fluttershy, and Pinkie Pie came up to join her. She turned to Scootaloo and said, I'm honestly a little scared, kiddo. The very idea of being a mom is new to me, but I'm willing to try if you are. Scootaloo, grinning mildly, hugged her. I'm willing. I'm definitely willing, she said. I'm probably going to have to do uncool things like make sure you do your homework and eat your alfalfa and stuff like that, Rainbow Dash cautioned. Scootaloo shook her head, her grin so wide it threatened to split her face. I don't care. I have a home now. I love you, Mom, she said. Rainbow Dash gasped, blushing as she felt a warm fluttering in her heart. Oh, wow, she said, grinning widely. And the other mothers who had gathered around to watch just smiled knowingly, understanding perfectly how Rainbow Dash felt, remembering similar moments with their own children. Rainbow Dash sighed, hugging Scootaloo tightly. I don't know how good a mom I'll be, Scoots, but I'm going to give it my best, she said. She turned to the others and said, Of course, it'd be great if there were 5 super cool ants to help keep me on track. Love to, Pinkie Pie chirped, bouncing happily. Fluttershy grinned widely. Of course I'll help, she said. You know I'm there, Sugar Cube, Applejack said. I'm not the best with children myself, Rarity said, admitting her own faults. But I will be happy to lend any aid I can. We'd be more than happy, Twilight said. Rainbow Dash smiled gratefully. Thanks, girls. Apple Bloom and Sweetie Belle, who had wandered up with everyone else, suddenly grinned. Hey, Apple Bloom said with dawning realization. Rarity and Applejack are going to be ants to Scootaloo. Sweetie Belle grinned happily. Then that makes us Cutie Mark Crusader cousins! The 2 girls happily hugged Scootaloo. The young filly gasped. Not only had she gotten a mother, but 5 aunts, and a pair of cousins as well. Tears of happiness began flowing down her face as she hugged her 2 friends. Now her family. Rainbow Dash saw Scootaloo crying and went over to her. Kiddo? Scootaloo blushed. I'm sorry, it's just I've never had so much go so right for me all at once. Rainbow Dash just smiled warmly, gently brushing away the tears from Scootaloo's eyes. She hesitated for a moment, and she felt a strange compulsion. It was a Pinkie Pie or Fluttershy thing to do. She knew that, but it just seemed so right in this instance. She hugged Scootaloo close and began to sing. Come stop your crying, it'll be alright. You're with me now, and I'll hold you tight. I will protect you from all around you. I will be here, don't you cry. Scootaloo snuggled in close to her. Rainbow Dash blushed and continued to sing. For one so small, you seem so strong. My wings will hold you, keep you safe and warm. This bond between us can't be broken. I'll be here, don't you cry, 'cause you'll be in my heart. Yes, you'll be in my heart. From this day on, now and forevermore. Yes, you'll be in my heart. No matter what they say, you'll be here in my heart. Always. Rainbow Dash kissed the top of Scootaloo's head, ending the song with a whispered, Always. The crowd began to cheer. Rainbow Dash barely noticed, focusing on the warmth she felt as she hugged Scootaloo in close. She thought to herself, growing up can be a hard thing. To take responsibility for a child, to become a mother, a frightening experience. But if you have the courage to try, and are willing to reach out for help when you need to, then it can all work out for the best in the end. She blinked and chuckled. Hey, that's pretty good. I should put that in a letter to the princess. She looked down at Scootaloo again and smiled warmly. After I get my daughter, it feels so weird and yet so awesome to think of her like that. Home, of course. Off to one side, Gilda watched from behind a set of bleachers, having come in secret to give Rainbow Dash some moral support. She was a little surprised that Rainbow Dash had ultimately decided to adopt the kid, but she couldn't really fault her choice. Not bad, Dash, she said. Not bad. She turned to fly off, only to bump into an absolute wall of a Pegasus. Gilda eeped, noticing the resemblance to Fluttershy immediately. Aren't you the griffin that bullied my little Flutters a few months back? Barricade asked, glaring at Gilda. Anyone who saw that death glare would realize where Fluttershy got her famous stare from. The griffin stammered. Is she a pony or a bulldozer? Gilda found herself thinking randomly. She tried to bolt, but Barricade slammed a hoof down on her tail. Let's you and me chit-chat, she said, dragging Gilda back towards her. In private. Help! Gilda whimpered. The end. And that, everyone, is my second semi-dramatic reading for a fan fiction. I hope you all enjoyed it. Please come back and maybe I'll be doing some more. Thank you.